Welcome back to Melissa, Arsenal Analyst. My name is Melissa, and today we are going deep, not just into one story, but into everything that is swirling around Arsenal Football Club right now, because the truth is there is a lot happening and most of it matters enormously. Let us drop straight into it. Arsenal are in Lisbon. They are heading to the Estadio José Alvalade for the first leg of their Champions League quarter-final against Sporting CP. And the timing of this fixture could not be more complicated, more dramatic, or more loaded with consequence. Think about what has just happened to this club in the space of a few days. They were knocked out of the Carabao Cup final by Manchester City. Then, before the dust had even settled on that defeat, they were eliminated from the FA Cup by Championship side Southampton. A 2-1 loss at St Mary's against a side fighting for their league survival. The dream of winning 4 trophies in one season is completely gone, finished. And now Arsenal must pick themselves up, travel to Portugal and face a Sporting CP side that is confident, in form and playing in front of their own fans. This is not a comfortable position. This is a test of everything Mikel Arteta has built. And everything that happens in the next few weeks will define this Arsenal season entirely. Let me be very clear about what is at stake here, because I want every viewer to understand the full picture. Arsenal are 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League with 8 games remaining. That is a strong position, but they have a Champions League quarter-final to navigate, a title run-in to manage, and a squad that is not at full strength going into either of those challenges. If Arsenal lose their grip on the Premier League and exit the Champions League, this season becomes defined by near misses and defeat. The quadruple dream is already gone. Lose the league and go out in Europe, and this becomes one of the most painful seasons in the club's recent history. If Arsenal win the Premier League and go deep in the Champions League, this becomes the season that changes everything. The first league title in 22 years, possibly a place in the last 4 of Europe's biggest competition. The margin between those 2 outcomes is smaller than many people think, and that is exactly why what is happening right now matters so much. Before we go deeper, if you are watching this and you want honest, well-researched football analysis with no noise and no exaggeration, please hit that subscribe button right now. Melissa, Arsenal Analyst, is built for people who want the full picture. Not headlines, not panic, the full picture. Subscribe and stay with me. Luis Suarez sends a warning to Arsenal Sporting CP number 9. Luis Suarez was asked about facing Arsenal in the Champions League quarter-final. His response was simple and direct. He said, and I am reading this exactly as he stated it, "We are not afraid of anyone. We respect all our opponents, but we do not fear any of them." Now, here is what this really means. That is not arrogance. That is the voice of a man who has had 24 goals in 25 appearances this season. A man who replaced one of the most feared strikers in European football and delivered at the highest level. Luis Suarez is not saying something empty. He is saying something that his numbers fully support. Arsenal cannot afford to take that lightly. Arsenal's injury crisis laid bare. The injury situation at Arsenal heading into this quarter-final is genuinely serious. Gabriel Magalhaes went off against Southampton with a knee problem. Mikel Arteta's response when asked about it was telling. He said, when a player asks to come off, it is not good. His return is listed as unknown. Declan Rice has been managing a physical issue for some time, but has been pushing through it. His return is listed as possible versus Sporting CP. Bukayo Saka is being carefully managed ahead of big games, and his return is also listed as possible for this fixture. Piero Hincapié picked up an injury on international duty. Arteta hinted it could be serious. His return is unknown. Eberechi Eze remains out with a calf problem. No clear timeline. Jurrien Timber is close to returning and could be back in the squad soon. Leandro Trossard is managing a lingering issue after the international break and is expected back soon. Mikel Merino is still recovering from foot surgery and is not expected back until May. Let me break this down for you. Arsenal are going into one of the biggest games of their season without certainty over the fitness of their starting goalkeeper's defensive partner, their midfield engine, and their most creative wide player. That is not a minor inconvenience. That is a significant structural problem. The players who may return, Rice and Saka, are not fully fit. They are being risked. And that tells you everything about how important this game is. AFTV sets the tone for Lisbon. Arsenal fan television put out a clear message ahead of the first leg in Lisbon. The message was, we head to Lisbon for the Champions League quarter-final with a clear mind and one goal. In this competition, every game is a final. We go again. The image featured Declan Rice, which is significant in itself. His presence in that graphic suggests the expectation from the fan base is that he will feature. Here is how I see this. AFTV's framing captures exactly the mentality Arsenal need right now. After 2 painful defeats, the only way to approach this is as a final. No entitlement, no assumption, just focus. Luis Suarez's statistics this season. These numbers deserve serious attention. In the 2025 to 2026 season, Luis Suarez of Sporting CP has made 25 appearances. He has scored 24 goals. He has 5 assists. He has played 2,126 minutes. He has collected 6 yellow cards, but 0 red cards. He has been named man of the match 4 times. Here is the part most people are missing. 24 goals in 25 appearances is a conversion rate that very few strikers in European football can match right now. The fact that he has 0 red cards despite 6 yellow cards tells you he plays with intensity, but also with discipline. He is not reckless, he is calculated. And Arsenal's defence, which may be missing Gabriel Magalhaes, will face a player who is one of the most informed centre-forwards on the continent. That is the reality. Victor Gyokeres' statistics at Arsenal this season. Victor Gyokeres, now playing for Arsenal, has made 29 appearances this season. He has scored 11 goals. He has 0 assists. He has 17 shots on target. He has completed 268 passes. He has committed 28 fouls. Let me give you my honest take on this. 11 goals in 29 games for a striker of Gyokeres' price and reputation is a return that will divide opinion. The 0 assists figure is notable. He is not yet contributing to build-up play in the way some expected. However, 17 shots on target suggests he is getting into the right positions. 28 fouls tells you he is working hard physically and pressing opponents. He is contributing, but the direct goal output is below what his predecessor was delivering at Sporting. And tomorrow night, Sporting know exactly how Gyokeres plays. They built their system around him for 2 years. That knowledge could be both a help and a hindrance. Head-to-head record. The historical head-to-head record between Arsenal and Sporting CP shows Arsenal with 1 win, 3 draws and 0 losses across all previous meetings. Arsenal have scored 4 goals in those games. Sporting have scored 3. Here is how I see this. Arsenal have never lost to Sporting CP in any competition. That is a fact worth noting. But history does not play football, and the context of this tie with Arsenal's current form and injury list means that historical record provides comfort but not certainty. Previous matches between the clubs, the most recent competitive meeting between the two sides came in the 22 to 2023 Europa League round of 16. In the first leg in Lisbon, Sporting CP drew 2-2 with Arsenal. In the second leg at the Emirates, Arsenal drew 1-1 with Sporting CP. The aggregate score was 3-3. Sporting CP won on penalties, 5-3. They eliminated Arsenal from that competition. Earlier meetings in the 2018 to 2019 Europa League group stage produced a 0-0 draw at the Emirates and a 1-0 win for Arsenal in Lisbon. Now, here is what this really means. The penalty shootout elimination in 2023 is the most relevant piece of history here. Sporting proved they can beat Arsenal over 2 legs when the stakes are highest. They did it at Arsenal's expense not long ago. This is not a team that freezes against Premier League opposition. They have shown they can handle the pressure and the occasion. Official injury and team news on the Sporting CP side. Nuno Santos is out with a hamstring injury. Fotis Ioannidis is out with a knee injury. Giovanni Quenda is a doubt with a foot problem. Luis Guilherme is a doubt with a strain. Let me break this down for you. Both teams are dealing with absences in attack and defence. Sporting losing Ioannidis removes a goal threat, but Luis Suarez remains. Arsenal losing Eze and Merino removes creativity and midfield control. The doubt over Gabriel Magalhaes is the most concerning individual concern for Arteta. A centre-back pairing without Gabriel against a striker with 24 goals this season is a significant risk. Gyokeres speaks to the fans. Victor Gyokeres addressed Arsenal supporters directly. His words were, "Honestly, I do not have many words, especially for the fans who expect the very best from us. I just have one request. Do not abandon us in moments like this. We need you now more than ever. Together we will lift silverware this season." Here is the part most people are missing. This statement is significant for 2 reasons. First, it shows vulnerability. Gyokeres is acknowledging that things have not gone to plan. He is not pretending otherwise. Second, it is a rallying call. He is asking for unity, not excuses, unity. A striker who steps forward to address the fan base directly in a difficult moment is showing leadership beyond what his goal tally alone can demonstrate. That matters. Arteta holds crisis meeting with the squad. Reports reveal that Mikel Arteta held a closed-door crisis meeting with his players ahead of the Premier League run-in and Champions League fixtures. The squad reportedly took collective responsibility, acknowledging their recent drop in standards. Key changes were agreed in that meeting, including new internal rules, stricter standards and clear guidelines for the remainder of the season. All measures are aimed at getting the team back on track before it is too late. Let me give you my honest take on this. The use of the word crisis is significant. This is not a routine team meeting. This is a moment where a manager has looked at his squad and decided that words are not enough. Action is needed, internal rules, stricter standards, clear guidelines. These are not vague aspirations. They are structural changes to how the squad operates day to day. The fact that the squad took collective responsibility is the detail that matters most to me. Not finger pointing, not blame, collective ownership. If that spirit is genuine and if it translates onto the pitch in Lisbon and in the league, then this meeting could prove to be a turning point in the season. Adam Keyes on the title race. Mentality football broadcaster Adam Keyes published a detailed message directed at Arsenal supporters. He noted that title races are never easy and that the run-in is about grinding results out. He pointed out that the famous Invincibles squad of 23 to 24 only won 5 of their last 15 games by 2 goals or more and had 5 draws in their final 9. He noted Arsenal have won their last 4 league games and are now in full run-in mode with tired bodies, mental fatigue and enormous pressure, with the most successful club of the last decade, which is Manchester City, chasing them down. He said the choice is clear. Protect your emotions and claim it will all collapse, or get behind the team and enjoy being 9 points clear at the top with 8 games remaining. He pointed out Arsenal have waited 22 years for this moment. He called on Arteta and the big players to step up and deliver, and he told fans to block out the outside noise. He closed with, "Buckle up. It is time to see the minerals of this team. Let me give you my honest take on this. This is one of the most grounded and important things said about Arsenal's situation in recent days. The comparison to the Invincibles run-in is factually relevant. Even the greatest Arsenal team in history ground out results in the closing weeks. The idea that Arsenal must be dominant and convincing every week to deserve the title is simply not how football works. 9 points with 8 games to go is a strong position. The mentality of both the players and the supporters in the next few weeks will matter enormously. Martinelli and Fair Discipline reports indicate that Gabriel Martinelli is not expected to face further disciplinary action from the Football Association following a recent incident. The post accompanying this news emphasised that Arsenal have learned hard lessons about discipline from previous seasons and that not just Martinelli but the whole squad must keep their composure. Now here is what this really means. The timing of this news matters. Arsenal cannot afford to have key players suspended during a title run-in and a Champions League quarter-final. The fact that Martinelli is expected to escape further punishment is a genuine relief. But the broader message here, that discipline must be a collective standard, is one that Arteta will be reinforcing internally. This club has lost points and momentum in previous seasons because of individual moments of indiscipline that cannot happen again now. Arteta with the travelling fans. After a recent match, Mikel Arteta took time to stay late and meet the travelling Arsenal supporters. He signed autographs while fans chanted, "We go again," and Mikel, "We have got this," in the background. A reporter named Carrie Brown noted that Arteta stayed late into the night to meet waiting fans, that the supporters were supportive and that he sportingly ignored Southampton fans giving him abuse, simply allowing them their moment. Here is how I see this. This image tells you something about Arteta's character in a difficult period. He did not hide, he did not rush past the fans, he stayed, he engaged. He acknowledged the supporters who had travelled. This is not nothing. In a moment when the narrative around the club was turning negative, Arteta's willingness to face the fans directly, to stand with them rather than retreat from them, is an act of solidarity. It will not win a football match, but it builds the connection between a manager and a fan base that becomes essential when the going gets tough. Nowani at Marseille manager Habib Beye spoke about Arsenal loanee Ethan Nowani at a press conference. He described Nowani as a great talent who needs to adapt to League One and its intensity. He noted that Nowani scored against Lille, but said there are still aspects of his game that need to be much stronger. Beye added that Nowani needs to understand that he is arriving at a really top-level club and praised the fact that he scored a brace in a 4-1 win over Andorra with his national team. Let me break this down for you. Nowani is clearly developing and goals are coming. But Baye's honesty about the areas that still need improvement is exactly the kind of feedback a young player needs at this stage of their development. Being on loan at a club like Marseille, in one of Europe's most intense and demanding leagues, is preparing Nwaneri for the demands of senior football at Arsenal. His progress is worth monitoring closely. William Gallas backs Arsenal for the title. Former Arsenal defender William Gallas stated publicly that he believes Arsenal will win the Premier League this season. His exact words were, "I think Arsenal will win one trophy, the Premier League. They still have to be careful, but normally they would win the Premier League from this position." Here is the part most people are missing. Magalhaes knows what it takes to compete for the title from inside this club. His statement is measured. He is not saying it is done. He is saying normally, from this position, you win it. The word normally carries weight. It means Arsenal must not do anything abnormal. They must stay disciplined, stay focused and execute. That is the message from someone who has lived the experience of a title race at this level. Arsenal monitoring Luis Suarez. Arsenal are reportedly closely monitoring 18-year-old Brazilian attacking midfielder Luis Suarez, who plays for São Paulo. The youngster has already made history as São Paulo's youngest Copa Libertadores goalscorer. Arsenal could submit a formal offer in the summer, with competition expected from Borussia Dortmund. Let me give you my honest take on this. This is a rumour at this stage. It has not been confirmed as a completed deal or a formal offer. What it does tell you is that Arsenal are thinking about the future of their squad, even while managing a critical period in the present. A player who is already making history at 18 in South American football is clearly on the radar of multiple top European clubs. If Arsenal move, they will need to act quickly given the Dortmund interest. Wells here backs Daumann for the World Cup. Former Arsenal midfielder Jack Wells here made a bold claim. He stated that 16-year-old Arsenal youngster Max Daumann is definitely good enough to be in England's World Cup squad. He drew a comparison to Lamine Yamal, who attended the 2024 European Championship at age 16 and was named the best player in the tournament. Now, here is what this really means. This is Wilshere's opinion, not a confirmed selection, but the comparison to Yamal is not made lightly. Wilshere is not a commentator given to exaggeration on young talent. If he is willing to say publicly that a 16-year-old from Arsenal's academy belongs at a World Cup, that is a strong statement about the level of Daumann's development, one to watch very closely. Arsenal board sends clear message to Arteta. Reports indicate that Arsenal's top leadership are unhappy with the recent drop in form that led to the Carabao Cup final defeat and the FA Cup exit. However, sources note that the board are not concerned about missing out on domestic cup competitions. Their full focus is on the Premier League title. Arteta has reportedly received a clear message that performances like those seen in recent games cannot carry into the league run-in. And critically, failure to deliver the Premier League title could see the club reassess their stance going forward. Here is how I see this. This is a significant piece of information. It tells you that Arteta's position is not under immediate threat, but it is conditional. The condition is the Premier League title. The board are essentially saying, win the league and we move forward together. Do not win the league and everything is on the table. That is a very specific and very clear mandate. Arteta knows exactly what is required. Saliba safe from Real Madrid. William Saliba has been removed from Real Madrid's list of defensive transfer targets. The reason given is that following his new long-term contract at Arsenal, Saliba is now considered too expensive for the Spanish club to pursue. He remains a key pillar of Arteta's squad, forming what is described as one of the Premier League's most formidable defensive partnerships alongside Gabriel. Here is the part most people are missing. One of the concerns around Saliba in recent seasons has been his appeal to elite European clubs, particularly Real Madrid. The fact that he has signed a new long-term contract and that even Real Madrid have accepted he is no longer attainable tells you that Arsenal have secured one of their most important players for the foreseeable future. The Saliba and Gabriel partnership is the foundation of everything Arteta wants to build defensively. Keeping that partnership intact is essential. Arsenal planning major summer clear-out. Reports indicate that Arsenal are preparing for a significant squad overhaul this summer. Plans are in place to offload up to 8 players. The club's strategy is described as clear. Replace outgoing players with high-quality first-team ready signings, not just squad depth. An initial shortlist of 8 players for departures has already been identified, with more potentially added as decisions are finalised. Let me break this down for you. This is a bold move and it signals ambition. Arsenal are not planning a minor adjustment. They are planning a substantial rebuild of the squad around a core of established players. The focus on first-team ready signings rather than squad depth tells you that Arteta and the board believe the next step for this club requires quality across every position, not just in the starting 11. 8 departures in one summer would be the most significant overhaul in the Arteta era. The names on that list will matter enormously. Materazzi backs Gabriel for Ballon d'Or. Former Italy and Inter Milan defender Marco Materazzi has publicly backed Gabriel Magalhaes for Ballon d'Or consideration. His words were direct. He said it is not easy for a defender to win the Ballon d'Or. Fabio Cannavaro was the last, but in football, you never know. If Gabriel keeps scoring goals and wins trophies with Arsenal, why not? Now, here is what this really means. For a former World Cup winner and Champions League winner to name Arsenal's centre-back in a Ballon d'Or conversation is not a small moment. Materazzi knows what elite defending looks like from the inside. He has lived it. His suggestion is conditional. Goals and trophies. Both of those conditions can be met this season if Arsenal deliver. And if Gabriel wins the Premier League, potentially goes deep in the Champions League and continues to contribute at both ends of the pitch, the conversation is not as unrealistic as it might first seem. It is an extraordinary thought, but it is grounded in facts, not fantasy. Luis Suarez, the man who replaced Gyokeres. Let me now speak to the full story of Luis Suarez and what his arrival at Sporting means for this quarter-final. Victor Gyokeres left Sporting last summer for Arsenal in a deal worth £63.5 million. The departure was not clean. A prominent Sporting supporter who had served as president of a major supporter group publicly criticised Gyokeres on the club's own website. He described the departure as a tasteless soap opera and said Gyokeres had tarnished his legacy by the way he left. That is strong language, and it tells you the emotional weight this transfer carried. 2 days after Gyokeres left, Sporting signed Luis Suarez, the Colombian forward, not to be confused with the famous Uruguayan player of the same name from Almeria, for £22 million. The story of how Suarez arrived at this point in his career is one of the most remarkable journeys in recent football. In October 2023, he scored the first hat-trick of his career for Almeria in a 3-3 draw against Granada. In the very same game, he broke his leg. Think about that. The highest moment of his career and one of the most physically devastating moments in the same 90 minutes. What followed was a depression. He described it openly, saying he could not even get out of bed. He worked with psychologists. He gradually rebuilt himself. He said at the time, "When I got injured, I felt I could have lost everything. But if I had not lived through those difficult moments, I would not be the player I am today." That is not a quote from someone playing the victim. That is the perspective of someone who went to the darkest place and came back stronger. And his numbers prove it. 41 goals in 79 appearances for Almeria brought him to Sporting's attention. Since arriving, he has scored 33 goals in 42 games. The tactical context matters too. Under Ruben Amorim, Sporting played a 3-4-3 built around Gyokeres as the central reference point. With Gyokeres gone and Suarez in, manager Rui Borges shifted to a 4-2-3-1, with Suarez leading the line and Francisco Trincao operating behind him as a number 10. Those in Portugal argue that this Sporting team is actually more balanced and complete than the Gyokeres version. That is a bold claim, but Suarez's numbers this season give it genuine weight. He has a lion tattooed on his arm. He said when he received Sporting's offer, he felt everything was connected. He said he planned to conquer the world in Lisbon. Based on what he has delivered so far, he has come close. For Arsenal, the challenge is clear. Luis Suarez is not Gyokeres, he is different. He links play, presses relentlessly, can finish with both feet and has pace. He does not hold the same profile Arteta would have prepared his defence to face when Sporting was Gyokeres' team. That adaptability is a threat in itself, and reports indicate that Liverpool and Newcastle are already tracking Suarez ahead of a potential summer move to the Premier League. If he performs well against Arsenal in this quarter-final, that interest will only grow. Full quarter-final preview. Now let me bring everything together with a full analytical look at this quarter-final. Arsenal arrive in Lisbon having lost their last 2 games. The Carabao Cup final defeat to Manchester City was painful. The FA Cup exit to Southampton was worse. A 2-1 defeat to a Championship club at home without several key players. It raised serious questions. Sporting arrive in this fixture on a 3-game winning streak. Their only recent setback was a 3-0 first-leg deficit against Bodo and Glimt in the round of 16. Most teams would not recover from that. Sporting recovered from it spectacularly, winning the second leg 5-0 to advance. That result is not a footnote. It is a statement about the character and quality of this team under pressure. The factual record tells a clear story on one side. Arsenal have never lost to Sporting CP. 1 win, 3 draws across all previous competitive meetings. English clubs have won each of the last 10 European knockout ties against Portuguese opposition. That is a combined record that suggests structural advantages for the English side. But records do not play football, and the reality on the ground right now is more complicated. That Gyokeres returns to Lisbon for the first time since leaving last July. He scored Arsenal's goal in the Southampton defeat. He has scored in 3 of his last 4 Premier League games. He is in form, but Sporting know exactly what he offers. They built their whole attacking structure around him for 2 years. Their defensive approach will not need much adjustment to deal with his specific threat. The most recent competitive meeting between Arsenal and Sporting in the 2022 to 2023 Europa League ended 3-3 on aggregate, with Sporting winning on penalties. That history matters because it tells you this Sporting side, even against an Arsenal side with quality, can navigate a two-legged tie. They have the experience and the composure. Arsenal's title position in the Premier League, 9 points clear with 8 games remaining, adds a layer of complexity to this fixture. Arteta cannot afford to sacrifice the league to chase Europe, but he also cannot afford to exit Europe early and allow that failure to undermine the momentum needed for the league run-in. The balance has to be managed carefully. Every rotation decision, every risk on a half-fit player, every tactical choice carries double weight. The situation is this: Arsenal go into this game as slight favourites based on historical record and squad quality. But Sporting have home advantage, a striker in the most extraordinary form of his career and a manager whose team has shown remarkable resilience when facing adversity. This is not a routine quarter-final. This is one of the most loaded, complex and consequential fixtures Arsenal have faced under Mikel Arteta. The result in Lisbon will shape the entire second half of this season. That is the full picture. That is everything happening around Arsenal right now and everything that is at stake in Lisbon and beyond. I am Melissa. This is Melissa, Arsenal analyst. If this kind of analysis is what you are looking for, please subscribe. Leave a comment below telling me your prediction for the first leg in Lisbon. Do Arsenal win, draw or lose? Let me know. I will be back with the reaction, the analysis of the match itself and everything that follows. Until then, we go again.